As if cancer and chemo weren't bad enough, a new gremlin has appeared. Why am I woozy, wobbly, hobbly, limpy, throbby, druggy and knackered? Why can't I get rid of the inflammation? And who is the bread monster? What? Come with me through the curtain of blurred colons and find out what's going on in my cancer story. Welcome to the Tumour-tastic Video Diary number 26. Hi, Scats here. I know who you are. It is Friday, June the 14th, and this is Video Diary number 26. Last week, you left me watching the French Grand Slam tennis, and I carried on through the weekend to witness Spain's latest sporting genius, Carlos Alcaraz, lifting the trophy and heralding the dawn of a new era. In the words of Gandalf, now come the days of the king. Shut up about the bleeding tennis! While I was reclining for those several days on the settee, my knee was complaining at its lack of exercise and was giving me some pain, making me limp grotesquely every time I got up, in a scene reminiscent of Dawn of the Dead. Little did I realise my hobbling gait was playing havoc with an old complaint, a pain gremlin that's been following me around for 20 years or more, stabbing me viciously in the ankle. Oh, my little pet gremlins have been doing me proud. Brings a tear to my eye. Yes, it's the dreaded tendinitis. As if cancer, radiotherapy and chemo weren't quite enough for me. I woke up early on Monday and barely stifled a scream as my left foot touched the floor. I haven't had an attack like this for quite a few years. Sometimes the pain is on top of my foot. This isn't my foot, obviously, but anyway, you get the idea. Sometimes it's on one side of the ankle or the other, and those times are easier to cope with if I can keep my foot supported and avoid moving it about too much. My walking boots, they're really quite good for that. A couple of days on ibuprofen to reduce the swelling and the pain, and then plenty of walking and stretching usually does the trick. But this time there was pain in several places, including right at the back of my ankle, stretching down to the sole of my foot, which meant every time I put any weight on it, or lifted my foot from the floor, or just moved it in any direction, or even just looked at it, had me in agony. Oh, you beauty, stabby, stabby, stabby. Now, one thing my oncologist had said was that I shouldn't take ibuprofen or any other similar drugs while on the chemo tablets. I think they're called the NSAIDs. That's the group of ibuprofen type drugs. Because the chemo tablets are already playing havoc with my stomach acids, and ibuprofen tablets can do that too. And they can cause stomach ulcers, which was a contributory factor in my dad's death, so I'm particularly conscious of the dangers. I tried paracetamol, which makes absolutely no difference at all. I tried a gel, and that helped a little for a very short time. I was thinking of riding it out for a few days and then trying exercising, but by Tuesday there was just constant throbbing and pain. It's that kind of cartoon throbbing where it feels like it's whoop, whoop, whoop. And I asked Chris to call the hospital for advice. I was thinking maybe they'd been extra cautious when they'd said no to ibuprofen, and it was really okay if it's monitored, or maybe there was an alternative anti-inflammatory I could have. But he couldn't get through to anyone. It seems to be an issue at the hospital. Was it just ringing and ringing and ringing and ringing and ringing? So I made an appointment with my local doctor for the next day, Wednesday morning, and she gave me some stronger painkillers with tramadol in them. That's an opioid. And she also prescribed a steroid-based anti-inflammatory called prednisone, but I had to wait to take those until I finished the chemo tablets on Thursday. Liz drove me up to the chemist and picked up the prescriptions and a crutch to take some of the weight off. That's crutch, not crotch. It's important to get that right. Oh, you're so funny. I noticed something that seemed a little bit odd at the doctor's appointment. When I asked about whether I could take ibuprofen with the chemo tablets, she didn't know, but she didn't look up the answer either, like a doctor in the UK would do, in my experience at least. I mean, you wouldn't expect a GP to know about every combination of drugs. That's fair enough. So the times I've been in the UK and Ireland, they have a book to refer to. And presumably it's now online by now so that it can be kept updated. Surely that thing must exist in Spain too. It does. They just can't be bothered to help you. Anyway, it just seemed a bit odd. It wasn't until I suggested steroids as an alternative that she prescribed one, but I'd still have to wait a couple of days to take it. It's just as well I have some experience with ankles. I am the ankle master, you twat. So, back home I immediately took one painkiller. I'd been told to try just one to begin with, every 8 hours, and if that didn't work I could have them 2 at a time. So just before bedtime I took 2 because there was still plenty of pain. That seemed to take enough pain away to allow me to go to sleep, and I slept well, but in stages of 2 hours. And every time I wake up at the moment I need the loo, which is quite a lot to do with the proximity of Freddy the Bastard tumour to my bladder and my prostate. So I had to, I still got the wind, so I had to grab the crutch, not the crotch, and hobble my way into the bathroom. Actually, it was more like sliding, because I didn't really want to lift either foot, because lifting and putting down the left one was still absolute agony, and lifting the right, even with the crutch, not crotch, taking some of my weight, still put more weight on the left, so more agony. So sliding and grunting and grimacing became a bi-hourly routine. I think I'll go and get some popcorn. I'm enjoying this. Thursday I usually write my notes for the diary, but I was so hazy and wobbly from the tramadol I was a little bit worried about climbing the stairs to my studio. There's no handrail, so after finishing my final 4 chemo tablets for this cycle, I set myself up with my laptop on the bed and stayed there all day. Parts of it just staring into space in an opiate haze, with an occasional jolt as my foot relaxed off to one side. At 6 in the evening I reached for the steroids, hoping they were going to work quickly. I can only take 1 a day of those, and the doctor had actually said to take them in the morning, but I was impatient to get started. I'd noticed I couldn't get my left shoe on properly on Thursday morning, so it had got worse. If the steroids reduce the swelling enough, then hopefully I'll be able to take only 1 tramadol at a time, so I can be a bit less woozy, wobbly, hobbly, limpy, throbby, druggy and knackered. Which sounds like a very dark version of the Seven Dwarfs. I would like to audition for the role of Throbby. Oh, there's also Bumpy, because I seem to be bumping into things a lot. There's Crutchy, not Crotchy, Shuffly, Stary, Lazy, Hazy and Useless, which sounds more like characters from a docudrama about smack addicts. In which case, Crotchy might be more appropriate. I had a mate at school we called Crotchy, and then we changed it to Crabby. Sort of lost touch after that. I must say, by the way, normally I'm all for being positive and fighting Freddy. Fight to Freddy and being smiley and everything, but this episode has been a bit more complainy, which sounds like another dark dwarf. But worry not, my friends. I'm not falling into a depression. Sometimes it's just good to go into the dark places and have a good shout. Release all of the nastiness. Express yourself like a ponce. So, where was I? Oh yes, Thursday evening I felt quite tramadolly, but actually more relaxed. There didn't seem to be as much pain. I drifted off in front of the telly for a bit, and when I emerged from drifty land, I tried putting my foot on the floor and it felt, well, stronger. I grabbed my crutch, not crotch, and set off for the bathroom with a lot more confidence. I had more energy too. I was moving faster. I remember when I used to stop taking the chemo tablets at the weekend in the first stage of treatment, and I got some energy back then as well. Also, Liz looked up the steroids that I'm taking and found they're often prescribed to reduce the effects of the particular chemo tablets I'm on. So that's kind of an extra boost, double boost of energy. I ended up doing some tidying and washing the dishes. That's my usual end of the day job, but Liz has been doing it while I've been lame. I love steroids! Anything else to say? Well, not much. I want to keep this episode a bit shorter so it doesn't knacker me out when I'm recording it like now. So I was going to talk about putting on weight because that's been happening. I'm falling into my old habits. Habits? No, habits. More like a habit. than a hoblet, I don't know. Anyway, these old habits were from before I took control and conquered diabetes back in Ireland. Having to eat first thing in the morning and last thing at night when I'm least awake, I'm making really bad food choices, and I can't do the intermittent fasting thing as well. I've turned back into the bread monster. Growl. Too many carbs makes my stomach object at a time when there's no healthy gut flora left because of radiotherapy and double chemo. And I don't feel like eating when I'm on the tablets, but I have to, otherwise they'll make me even more sick. Boo bloody hoo! What I really need is exercise, but hobbly, wobbly, bumpy, twatty me can't do it. So this is me kicking myself up the arse to at least make some better food choices. That's a metaphorical kick up the arse, by the way. A real one would involve me morphing from hazy slidey into jumpy kicky, followed by screamy, fally downy, curly uppy in a fetal positiony, grabby ankle cryy. You know, just like a football player when he's just pretended to be fouled, only real. Oi! You leave football out of this. Well, that's all for this week. Next week I'll have something else to say, and possibly to sing too. If you send me some more brand new random words, I'll get started. Next Thursday I'm back at the hospital for the second cycle of IV chemo. So yes, I'm really looking forward to that and the 4 or 5 days following it. So tune in next Friday for another thrilling episode of Freck Off Freddy. Toe rag. Keep your fingers and toes crossed, you lovely people, and as always, raise your drinking receptacles with me. Still a fag in life. And of course, let's do the cancer dance.